Where were you when you were my age, around like 20?
I was already in the Air Force. I joined the Air Force at 17.
Who inspired you to work in this field?
I was actually inspired by 9/11. It happened during my junior year of high school, so as soon as I turned 17, I joined the Air Force.
What are things you don't like about your job?
The only thing that I do not like about my job is that there's so many people that I can't help because of our limitations. I would love to put in everyone who wants to be in the Air Force in the Air Force, and so unfortunately with the climate right now, I'm just not able to help everyone, but at this point I've put in over 120 people in the Air Force, so I just focus on that I've actually have changed 120 different lives. Here's a pencil.
Well, thank you. And you said 120 lives?
Mm-hmm.
What accomplishments have you in your career are you the most proud of?
Well, I'm definitely proud of my college education. Both my parents did not graduate high school, and so I have 2 associate's degrees, 1 bachelor's degree, and I'm working on my master's degree right now, so I'm very proud of that. I'm also proud of the amount of traveling I've been able to do. I was born and raised in San Diego, and I never left San Diego until I joined the Air Force. And I've been to about 9 different countries and 12 different states since I've been in, so I really got to see a lot of different perspectives, cultural perspectives on the world, and it's expanded my knowledge.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
In 5 years, I'll probably be in Illinois at Scott Air Force Base. That's where my husband is stationed right now, and I'm going out there. I'm returning back to the computer career field, so just going out there, repairing computers, and helping keep the mission going.
What do you think are the 3 most important things to be successful in this position?
Honesty is a big one. If you're not completely honest with people, they're not going to believe anything that you say, so that's a big one. Also, having the attitude of a servant, the servant's attitude. I'm here to help people, that is what my job is, and I try to do it as much as possible, even if I'm inundated with people, which I most of the time am. I try to at least get them pointed in the right direction so they can make a good career decision for themselves. And let's see, I think excellence, paying attention to the details, the day-to-day stuff. It's not, it's not always, beating the streets and trying to get people to join. There's a lot of paperwork aspects involved in the job to make sure that the enlistment process doesn't stop or isn't slowed down. So it's definitely an attention to detail, doing that paperwork over and over and over again on people, making sure that you get it right.
How many of those ribbons do you have?
I have quite a few. I actually just got awarded another one. So every time there's a cluster on it, that means I've earned that ribbon again. So I have quite a few. That's the ribbon rack. It's the story of my Air Force career, basically.
Which one are you most proud of?
I'm probably most proud of this one at top. That's a commendation medal, and I received that from my last base because I had done such great work for them there that contributed to different sorties being flown and missions being accomplished. So I'm proud of that one.
What have been your biggest failures and frustrations in this career?
I really don't think I've had any failures. I've been very successful in my career in the Air Force and as a recruiter. Yeah, I really haven't had any failures.
Frustrations,
Frustrations, definitely there are frustrations. Dealing with the amount of people that bombard the office. Because the Air Force has so few recruiters as opposed to the other services, and we have such a larger zone, we have so many more people coming to us. And I think the frustration that we deal with is we're always putting out fires because people are looking for information, they can't get information, and so that's probably the biggest frustration. The Air Force is now focusing, the Air Force Recruiting Service is focusing on more on customer service and really going electronic with a lot of our stuff, websites and chat rooms and all that, to help alleviate some of the pressure on recruiters out in the zone so that we can get information to people without the recruiter having to be tied to the phone all day.
What risks did you take to get where you are now?
Risks? I don't know, risks. Have I taken any risks? I definitely have done, made some changes in my office that a lot of recruiters don't utilize. The mass briefing was one of them that you guys did today. A lot of administrative changes that I kind of just went to my boss, and I do have a really open boss, and I told her, I don't think this process is working right, it's wasting time or whatever, can I try this? And of course, anytime you try something new, you risk failure. And I have had a couple of failures and processes not work right, and it caused a backlog of applicants. But for the most part, if you think about what you're doing and you look at it from all angles and make sure what are the repercussions of what I'm instituting, I have not had too many failures from that. So they were risks, but they've turned out well for the most part.
That's good. Can you describe a typical day in this position?
Yeah, a typical day is I get into the office and I check my email. I typically receive about 50 to 60 emails a day, people who are interested. So that takes me about an hour or so to come through. I also go onto our Facebook account, check that, see if anyone's messaged me. And then I get started on the paperwork. So anyone who needs ASVAB tests scheduled or scores pulled or medical reads to be done, if I need to build people's applications, I do all of that in our database. I also have meetings throughout the day with new candidates. During the school year, I have schools. I am responsible for 21 schools in Riverside, so I have to go out and visit those all a certain amount. I have to go out into the community and post out literature and brochures so that people are aware that we have a presence here in Riverside. So it's quite a lot to do in one day.
How would you describe the culture here, and what types of people tend to thrive and do well in the Air Force?
The culture in the Air Force is full of a lot of A-type personality people who are kind of gung-ho, they're ready to make a difference, and that's nice. That's what keeps the Air Force efficient, because we have those types of people. And what was the second part of the question?
And like, what types of personalities?
Oh, thrive in the Air Force. The types of personalities that thrive in the Air Force are people who are willing to go above and beyond and who are willing to sacrifice. You do get a lot of benefits out of the Air Force, and I've definitely felt those benefits in my career, but they do come at a price. Sometimes you have to deploy, sometimes you have to work 12-hour shifts. And the people who do well understand that the benefits are going to outweigh those costs at the end of the day. And that's something that I understand. That's why I'm going for the full 20 in my career, because I love it. I'm addicted to being in the Air Force.
That's good.
Very good. It's good to like the job that you do.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to find too.
There you go.
Do you know anything about like medical in the Air Force?
Medical, we're not looking to hire medical for enlisted. Officer candidates we are, like doctors, nurses, those sorts of things. But even if you come in the Air Force not doing a job that deals with medical, you can still go to school for the medical career field, and they'll pay for it.
Yeah, that's what I want to do.
There you go.
I already have a plan.
Okay, good to have a plan.
Have you ever had to make a decision between your career and your family?
Yes, a lot of times, especially because recruiting is so busy. The Air Force is really a great service because they press the fact that sometimes your job is taking care of your family. So they don't always demand that the mission comes first. Sometimes your family is the mission. So especially in recruiting, it's very easy to get caught up in, let me just make that one phone call. Let me just talk to that one person. And my first year in recruiting was very rough because I had to put in a lot of hours, but I always kept in the back of my mind, okay, this day I'm going to make sure it's reserved for my family and I'm not going to do anything else. So there is a balance that you have to hold in the Air Force, and if you neglect your family over, if you neglect your family for the mission, you're not going to be as successful in the Air Force because you're just going to be at work thinking about your family falling apart. So definitely I'm a mom of 2 and a wife and in the Air Force, so I know how to balance pretty well.
Do you think your life would be different if you never joined the Air Force?
I know my life would be different. I worked at McDonald's and I lived in my car when I joined the Air Force, so I would not have done any of the things that I've done since being in the Air Force. When I first got here to Riverside, I bought my first house. So I went in like 6 years from being homeless to owning a nice house in Temecula. So definitely would have been different.
What made you just want to go sign up?
Like I said, 9/11 was a big thing because I really believed in making my contribution to the country to protect and defend us. But I was also in that position where I was living in a 1969 Volkswagen Beetle, and I was taking showers in the park, and the only meals that I got were free lunch at school, and you know, I pilfered stuff at McDonald's where I worked. So I just saw ahead of me that my life would not be pleasant. You know, I wouldn't get to accomplish the things that I wanted to do if I stayed on that path. So joined the Air Force and took advantage of all the opportunities that they afford you, and I can really say that I'm very satisfied with what I've done so far in my career and in my personal life because of the Air Force.
Was there like anybody living with you when you were like standing in the car?
No, it was just me. Yeah.
What is some advice that you have for people in my position and want to follow your path?
Definitely take care of the things you need to take care of. Don't let anything fester because it will come back and bite you in the butt. Be as truthful as possible and be motivated and tenacious, because it's not always easy to get your foot in the door for the Air Force. There's so many people who want to join and a lot of people who are qualified. So don't give up on that dream, and definitely make sure that you make yourself stand out to the recruiter. So that you can get your foot in the door. And then once you're in, don't slack. Don't just sit on your laurels. I know that's an old term, but don't sit on your laurels and just expect things to be handed to you. Go out and grab them and seize the opportunities, because you will let things pass you by if you just sit there and expect things to be handed to you.
All right.
Cool?
Yes, thank you for your
The
time.
end?